You can access the entire episode now on our website, forbiddenknowledge.news, Rumble, and all podcast platforms. Let's go back a little bit before we get deeper into Orgonite and its properties and what can be accomplished with this. I want to go back to your story for a second because it meshes with mine in a very important way, and I have a very important revelation that I've been trying to share with people as of lately, as of the other day actually. It's pretty crazy, but I grew up in a very dogmatic Catholic Christian home as well, and I was pretty much frightened out of that because of the dogma and the stigma of everything and the energy that surrounds that whole dogmatic belief system. And
oh, for sure, because it's also surrounded by
yes, man, and that's what it is.
Anything,
but the thing is, Christians have been stuck in this unfortunate box for centuries, man, and all they have to do is just let go of some of that fear and understand it's all the same thing. All paths lead to the same home, and if God created it all, how can any of it be bad? And it scares a lot of people away, especially the hell and damnation thing. You gotta look at it more as like, this is our hell, that you keep coming back and repeating this until you get it right, and that's something they refuse to integrate into that belief system, and it drives me nuts, man. And that's one of the things that I think is such an important message for people to understand. What do you think?
Yes, 100%. So let's expound into some of this. So some of the problems with the mainstream, I grew up in multiple large church systems. My grandfather was a pastor of his own church that was a break-off from a large church. And so I grew up essentially as a pastor's kid's kid, and I was involved deeply into the children's ministry of everything. The problem is that they interpret certain views of the biblical text that they're given, which isn't even an accurate description of what was written. But we're given that, and the problem is that even in that, if you read those texts, there are certain things that don't line up with the mainstream view of Christianity. I was looking through, and I'm looking at, like, there are certain things about, it says that God created Adam and Eve, but it says before that he created humans, so that there was a previous race and tribe of humans that existed, and a bunch of other stuff. And it's like, I was looking through this, I read Genesis and Exodus, some of Exodus. I'm trying to get through the Bible in a year. It's probably going to be the next couple years because I've been so busy, but I was reading through it, and I'm like, wait, I totally didn't pick up on any of this. I wasn't taught any of this. Genesis, apologies if I'm wrong, it's Genesis 6 something, talking about the Nephilim and the sons of God. And the problem is like, you look at that, and there are two different races that are talked about. You have the sons of God, who are the sons of God? If Jesus is supposed to be the only son of God, who are the sons of God? That doesn't make sense. And also, I'm sorry.
No, this is great, so deep, dude. This is exactly what I've been into, so go for it.
And then there's also the quote-unquote Nephilim. And then you realize that, the pyramids of Giza were never talked about in the Bible. You don't talk about, even though Joseph was in Egypt, and you have Joseph basically trapping all of the Israelites in Egypt, and then they end up having to get broken out by Moses, who they ended up stealing the Ark of the Covenant that was stored inside of the Giza pyramid in the king's chamber, because the outside diameter of the Ark of the Covenant is the perfect ratio for the inside diameter of the king's chamber in the sarcophagus. But the thing is that Ark of the Covenant is a energetic reactor that would take in energies and amplify it, and it basically was the battery of the Great Pyramid. But that's beyond the point. But we don't get told about a lot of this stuff, that if you look through other historical or religious practices, it's all connected, and each different practice fills in pieces of the puzzle that you previously didn't understand. And so the thing is that they are so afraid of the mainstream waking up and realizing that the church systems and the mainstream idea will shun the idea of looking through anything and basically give you the fear that you are going to hell if you look into any of this stuff. And it's almost like blaspheming the Holy Spirit, essentially. And so they've placed certain things, you can say, King James in his Council of Nicaea and all that stuff, when they manipulated certain texts, took out certain very important texts, they set certain locks basically on the religion. And so it's like, you have to look at it through this lens, and if you do that, then oh no, you're going to hell. So you can't do that. This set line. And through the 500, 600 years, certain locks have been taken off, certain locks have been added, and currently the church is so afraid of the unification of spirituality because we're all one spirit, we're all one organization, we're all one planet, and if we realize that we're all this one planet and we're all connected to the same fucking source, then we will break free. And the problem is that the separation of church and state is bullshit, because the state uses the church for power and domination over the people's minds, because the state knows that it cannot control it. Well, they've developed ways to control the mind themselves, but previously the best power of control was through the church, so they would set certain locks on it. And you see this constantly through history. There's a reason why Christianity and the way that it is accepted nowadays has been so readily accepted by specific states, and it's been made state religions. Like Russia, it's the state religion, and the Vatican and all this stuff. Going back through history, it's a great control tactic of the mind. And the problem is that there's a previous mass knowledge of this, that certain powers that be who are really connected to certain family lines, and you going back to maybe, this isn't for sure, but maybe like Nephilimic stuff, ancient family lines of higher negative spiritual entities that are really controlling, kind of pulling the strings on the material realm. The problem is that even though the Bible doesn't really talk about hell in those senses, the idea that Satan, or what they think Satan is the master of this physical realm, is very powerful, because look back through society, through the last history of 6,000 years, however long you want to say this power structure has been going, you have certain control tactics that the knowledge keepers, who know all the stuff that at the Forbidden Knowledge News we're trying to enlighten people about, but they are constantly trying to suppress it and keep it away from people, because the second that is unlocked, the second that, like, oh yeah, we know this too, the biggest message, greatest message of Christ is love. And almost every religion speaks of love and says that love is the most powerful thing. And forgiveness, forgiving yourself and forgiving others, is the key factor to unlocking the keys to the mysteries of the universe. And that's a very exponentially crazy thing to say, but it's really true. It all lies within yourself. It all lies within that transmutation of the dark, crude matter of our just being an asshole because we're upset at the world because it's hurt us constantly, and realizing if we forgive the world and forgive everybody who's hurt us, we will change the world around us as well.
It's amazing. I had all these realizations that you're talking about come together. They were all there. They were just kind of floating around in my brain. I hadn't put all the pieces together, and I realized that everyone was right about certain things. And the piece that I was missing is I didn't believe any of it. I considered it all. But the missing piece for me was believing in something. And God reached out to me the other day and showed me that He's real. So now that I have a belief, it all comes together. And I'm like, oh, this path my whole life was about me learning all these secrets of the universe. It's not supposed to be a mystery of faith. We're supposed to solve that damn mystery of faith. We're little cosmic detectives coming down here to solve that stuff, right, man?
So having faith in what you know is tied intricately with the knowing you don't know what you don't know. And every time that you unravel that mystery and you open it up and you look through humility and through openness, and whatever the truth is, and you will accept that as truth, knowing that it is, if it resonates inside of you. And if everything else, usually the universe, God will communicate through the universe, through your life, to let you know that these things are true. The synchronicities are always undeniable. So the thing is that you look through these lenses and you say, okay, I'm going to start unraveling what everybody is on a different journey to unlock different keys. So there's a reason that God, the source, split itself off from its it fractalized itself from the unification. Theoretically, we're all still unified at some dimension of time or level or whatever you think it is. It's like we're still all unified, but in this experience we're at now, in May 9th, 2024.